Most people over 60 are told the same thing when they forget a name or walk into a room and blank. They are told it is just age. They are told to write more things down and not to worry about it. It sounds sensible. It sounds gentle. But here is what nobody tells you. Age alone does not steal your memory, and treating every slip as the beginning of the end does not protect your independence one bit. Here is what memory clinics see every single week. Most people who arrive terrified they are losing their memory are not losing their memory at all. Their storage is intact. What has quietly slipped is something that happens a full step earlier, before a memory is ever filed away. And because almost no one checks that step, the real problem goes unnamed for years. In the next few minutes, I will walk you through 5 specific, everyday things that fail before memory does. And I will show you the one that most appointments never even mention. The number 1 item on this list is something almost nobody connects to their mind at all. Stay with me until the end, because that one can change how you approach the next 10 years. So why does this get missed? Think about a normal doctor visit. You get about 12 minutes. In that time, your doctor has to review your medications, check your blood pressure, look at recent labs, and answer whatever you came in for. There is simply no room in 12 minutes to sit and test how quickly your brain takes in new information. Memory complaints get a quick reassurance or a referral, and the small, fixable things underneath never get examined. It is not that anyone is careless. There is just no time built in for prevention. I am not here to sell you a supplement or scare you into a course. I am not going to hand you a miracle pill or a fear story. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. That is the whole mission, nothing more. And the stakes here are not small. When these early steps slip, you stop trusting yourself. You stop cooking the recipe from memory. You stop driving the long route. You start asking other people to hold the details of your own life. That is how independence quietly leaks away, long before anything medical is truly wrong. Losing confidence in your own mind is the first step toward leaning on everyone else. So think about this for a moment. When did you last feel your recall was slower than it used to be? Was it in the morning or later in a tiring day? Hold that answer, because it matters for what comes next. Now let me give you the one mechanism behind all of this. Memory is not one single action. It is 3. First, you take information in, then you hold it and file it properly. Only then can you pull it back out later. Most people only ever think about that last step, the pulling out. But the failure almost always happens at the first step, taking it in. Picture a grand old library. The books on the shelves are your long-term memories, and those shelves are usually fine. But at the front desk, there is one librarian who receives every new book and decides where it goes. If that librarian is tired, distracted, or cannot hear the title clearly, the book never gets shelved properly. Later, when you go looking for it, it was never filed in the first place. You did not lose the book. You never got it onto the shelf. That front desk is your attention and encoding, and that is what ages first. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows. Every single item ahead is really about protecting that librarian at the front desk. If this is already making sense to you, tap the like button so more seniors can find it. Let us start the countdown at number 5. Number 5 is water. Plain, ordinary hydration. It sounds far too simple to matter, and that is exactly why it gets ignored. Here is what happens inside. Your brain is mostly water, and it runs on a very narrow margin. As we age, 2 things change at once. The sense of thirst gets weaker, so you do not feel dry even when you are, and the kidneys hold less water in reserve. Go back to that front desk librarian. A dehydrated brain is a librarian working in a stuffy, airless room after a long shift. Everything slows down. The receiving of new information gets foggy and sluggish, and names slide right past the desk without being filed. Large clinical studies on older adults have consistently linked even mild dehydration to slower processing speed and weaker attention on the same day. This is not a fringe idea. It is well established in aging research. So here is the protocol, with real numbers. Aim for about 6 to 8 cups of fluid across the day, which is roughly 1.5 to 2 liters for most people. Do not try to drink it all at once. Spread it out. Have one full glass first thing in the morning before coffee, because you wake up already low after a night of no water. Then keep a marked bottle where you sit and sip through the day. A simple check is the color of your urine. Pale straw is good. Dark apple juice color means you are behind. And taper off in the last 2 hours before bed, so you are not up all night. Now, the safe modification. If you take a water pill, what doctors call a diuretic, or if you have heart or kidney conditions, do not just start pouring in extra fluid. Talk to your doctor about the right target for you first. And the stop condition is simple. If you ever feel swollen ankles, breathless, or newly lightheaded, stop and check with your doctor rather than pushing the number higher. Pair your water with a pinch of real salt and some fruit at breakfast, because water alone is not enough. Your brain needs the minerals, what we call electrolytes, to actually use that water. Water plus a little sodium and potassium hydrates you far better than water on its own. But here's the thing water cannot fix. If the very medications sitting in your cabinet are fogging that front desk, no amount of hydration will ever clear it. You could drink perfectly all day and still lose names because the problem is being poured in with your evening pills. And that is exactly what number 4 is about. Number 4 is your medication list, specifically a quiet review of what might be dulling your mind. Here's the mechanism. Certain common medications cross into the brain and blunt the exact chemical your attention runs on. Doctors call these anticholinergic medications, and they include many over-the-counter sleep aids, some older allergy pills, and certain bladder and mood medications. Back at the library, these drugs are like dimming the lights at the front desk. The librarian is still there, but now working in the dark, squinting, missing titles. The books do not get shelved because the receiving station cannot see. Well-designed long-term studies, including large ones tracking older adults over years, have consistently tied a heavy anticholinergic load to poorer memory and attention scores. Researchers now take this seriously as a reversible cause. So here is the protocol. Do not stop anything on your own. Instead, make one written list of every single thing you take, including the ones you buy without a prescription, especially any nighttime cold or sleep product with the letters PM on the box. Bring that whole list to one dedicated appointment and ask one exact question. Ask, is anything on here known to affect memory or attention? And is there a gentler alternative? Ask specifically about any antihistamine you take to sleep. Do this once a year and any time a new medication is added. The safe rule here is absolute. Never advise yourself off a prescription, not even one you buy without one. If you take anything for bladder, mood, allergies, or sleep, talk to your doctor before changing a single dose. The stop condition is not physical here. It is simply that every change goes through your doctor or pharmacist, never through you alone. Pair this review with your pharmacist, not only your doctor. Your pharmacist sees every prescription you take laid out together across every doctor you visit. That single overview is often the fastest way to spot a foggy combination because catching that interaction is their whole training. But even a spotless medication list will not save you if your brain never gets its one nightly filing process. You can be clear-headed all day and still wake up with the day erased. That is number 3, and it is the one people sacrifice first. Number 3 is sleep. Not just hours in bed, but the deep, specific kind of sleep that files your memories. Here is the mechanism, and it is beautiful. While you sleep, your brain replays the day and moves the important pieces from temporary holding into permanent storage. This happens mostly in deep sleep and dream sleep. Return to our library one more time. Sleep is the overnight shift, when a second team quietly walks every received book from the front desk to its proper shelf. Skip that shift, and the books just pile up at the desk overnight and are gone by morning. You did not forget them. They were never shelved because the night crew never came in. Sleep researchers have shown for decades that deep sleep is when the brain consolidates new memories, and that this deep sleep naturally thins out as we age. This is one of the most established findings in all of brain science. So here's the protocol. with numbers. Protect a steady 7 to 8 hours. The single most powerful lever is a fixed wake-up time, the same time every day, weekends included, within about 30 minutes. That anchors your whole clock. Get bright light into your eyes within the first hour of waking, ideally 10 to 15 minutes outside, because morning light sets the timer for sleep that night. Keep the bedroom cool and dark. And stop caffeine by early afternoon, because in an older body, caffeine can linger 8 hours or more. Now the safe modification. Do not chase sleep with over-the-counter sleep pills. And here is why this connects to number 4. Many of them are the very anticholinergic drugs that fog the front desk. You would be trading tonight's sleep for tomorrow's clarity. If you snore heavily, gasp, or feel exhausted despite a full night, ask your doctor about a sleep study, because treating that can transform your mind. The stop condition: if a new sleep medication ever leaves you groggy or confused in the morning, that is a signal to call your doctor, not to push through. Pair good sleep with a wind-down routine that begins 30 minutes before bed. Turn the screens off and bring the lights low, so your brain has a runway to land on instead of a sudden switch. A calm half-hour beforehand does more for deep sleep than anything you can swallow. But sleep only files what you already took in during the day. It cannot improve the machinery that receives information and moves it around while you are awake. For that, you need blood, oxygen, and movement, and that is number 2. Number 2 is aerobic movement. Rhythmic, breath-quickening activity done most days. Here is the mechanism. Your brain is fed by a dense network of tiny blood vessels, and that plumbing is kept open and growing by regular movement. Movement also releases a substance that acts like fertilizer for brain cells. Picture the library again. Aerobic exercise is the delivery road that brings supplies to the whole building. Let that road crack and narrow, and every department, including the front desk, runs short. Keep the road smooth and wide, and the supplies flow. Large, well-regarded studies have repeatedly shown that older adults who do regular aerobic activity have better processing speed and attention, and even healthier brain volume than those who do not. So, here's the protocol. Aim for about 150 minutes a week of movement that gets you breathing harder, but still able to talk. That breaks down to a brisk 30-minute walk 5 days a week. If that is a lot, start with 10 minutes 3 times a day, because 3 short walks count exactly the same as 1 long one. Build up by no more than about 10% a week. Swing your arms and pick up the pace on the flat stretches. Now the safe setup. If balance is a worry, walk a route with a handrail, a wall, or a shopping cart to hold. If you have not exercised in a while or have heart or lung conditions, check with your doctor before you start. The stop condition is firm. Chest pressure, real dizziness, or breathlessness that does not settle means stop and seek help, not push through. Pair your walk with a simple conversation or a podcast that makes you think. Engaging your mind while your body moves trains attention and circulation at the very same time. 2 systems, 1 walk, double the return. But here is the strange truth that leads to number 1. You can be perfectly hydrated, on a clean medication list, sleeping deeply, and walking every day, and still feel your mind slipping. Because there is one input to that front desk that, when it fails, starves the librarian of the very information it is meant to file, and almost nobody blames it. That is number 1. Number 1, the single most overlooked protector of your memory is your hearing. Correcting hearing loss. This is the one almost no one connects to their mind. Let me show you exactly why this sits at the very top. Go back to that front desk one final time. Everything the librarian files arrives as sound, as spoken words, names, and details. Now imagine the messages arriving muffled, half the words missing, arriving as a mumble. The librarian is not tired and not distracted. The librarian simply never receives a clear title to file. When hearing fades, your brain gets a broken, incomplete signal, and it cannot store what it never clearly caught. That is the first failure, and it is enormous. But there is a second, quieter cost. When hearing is hard, your brain has to pour enormous effort into just decoding the sounds, straining to fill the gaps. That effort is stolen directly from attention and memory. The librarian is so busy guessing at smudged titles that there is nothing left over to actually shelve them. So hearing loss hits the front desk twice, once by blurring the message, and once by exhausting the worker. That is why it outranks everything else on this list. This is now one of the most striking findings in brain aging research. Major institutions, including large studies out of leading universities and public health bodies, have identified untreated hearing loss as one of the largest changeable risk factors for cognitive decline in later life. Landmark trials in recent years have shown that treating hearing loss can meaningfully slow decline in older adults at higher risk. This is no longer a fringe theory, it is mainstream science. So here's the protocol, and it is more concrete than you might expect. First, get a real hearing test, what is called an audiogram, from a qualified audiologist. Do this even if you think your hearing is fine, because this loss is so gradual, you adapt without noticing. Get it rechecked every 1 to 2 years after 60. If loss is found, act on it. Do not wait the 7 to 10 years that most people wait. If hearing aids are recommended, commit to wearing them daily, not just for special occasions, because the brain needs steady, clear input to retrain. Wear them a little more each day until they are simply part of getting dressed. In the meantime, reduce background noise when you talk, face people directly, and ask them to speak clearly rather than loudly. Have important conversations in quiet rooms, not noisy restaurants, and treat this with the same seriousness you would give your eyes or your blood pressure. Now, the safe guidance. Never dig into your own ears with anything to clear them. Sometimes the problem is simply earwax, and that is wonderful news, because it is quickly fixed, but it must be cleared safely by a professional. If you have sudden hearing loss in one ear, ringing, pain, or dizziness, treat that as urgent and see a doctor promptly, because sudden loss can be a medical emergency. The stop condition is clear. Any sudden change is a same-week appointment, not a wait and see. Pair your hearing care with staying socially active, because the whole reason clear hearing matters is connection. The richest input your brain receives is real conversation with people who matter to you. Protect the hearing, then use it, and the front desk stays busy in the best possible way. So here's the payoff I promised you at the very start. The reason this one can change your next 10 years is this. Every other item protects the worker at the front desk, but hearing decides whether any clear message arrives at all. Fix this, and you are not chasing lost memories. You are making sure they arrive whole in the first place. You are not losing your memory. You may simply have stopped hearing the world clearly enough to keep it. Consider a typical case documented in the rehabilitation literature. A 74-year-old woman came in convinced she was in the early stages of dementia. She was forgetting names at church, losing the thread in group conversations, and had started declining invitations because she felt lost and embarrassed. Her family was frightened. She had begun to withdraw from the life she loved. But when she was properly assessed, her memory storage tested normal. What they found instead was a moderate hearing loss she had adapted to for years, poor sleep, and almost no water before evening. So they built a simple plan. She got fitted for hearing aids and wore them daily. She anchored a fixed wake time with morning light. She placed a marked water bottle by her chair. She added a brisk daily walk with a neighbor, and she brought her medication list to her doctor, who swapped out a nightly antihistamine. Within 3 months, the change was clear and measurable. She was following conversations again. She rejoined her groups. Her family said she seemed sharp, present, and like herself. Nothing had been wrong with her memory. The inputs to it had simply been failing, and once corrected, the woman they knew came back. So let us turn all of this into something you can actually do. Do not try all 5 at once, because that is how good plans collapse by the weekend. Start small tonight and build from there. Step 1, tonight. Fill 1 water bottle and place it right where you will sit tomorrow morning, and set a single fixed wake-up time to hold all week. Step 2, this week. Write every medication you take onto 1 single sheet, including every over-the-counter pill, especially anything with the letters PM on the box. Step 3, within the next 2 weeks. Book one hearing test with an audiologist, even if you are certain your hearing is perfectly fine, because this is the one nobody checks. Step 4, also this week. Schedule 3 10-minute walks into 3 named days on your calendar, so they are appointments and not just good intentions. Step 5, at your next doctor visit. Bring both your medication sheet and this list and ask one direct question: which single change matters most for me? 5 steps, one number in each. That is your whole month. Now think of someone in your life who has been quietly worried about their memory, or a parent who keeps saying they just cannot hear in restaurants. Share this with them, because this one conversation might spare them years of unnecessary fear. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 you are starting tonight. Just the number is enough, and reading them tells me who I am helping. Your answers decide exactly what I cover next on this channel. And if you want the science that a 12-minute appointment never has time to give you, subscribe, because that is the entire reason this channel exists. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. I'm Laura Bennett. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.